I fought for your freedom, Judge. I took a bullet in Afghanistan.
I have the utmost respect for that uniform, sir, but looking at you right now, I don't think you are who you say you are. In 38 years on the bench, I have heard every lie you can imagine. I have heard people lie about their speed, their location, and their emergencies. I usually let it slide. But that young man, he wasn't just lying to get out of a ticket. He was stealing something that didn't belong to him. He was stealing the honor of men and women who died for this country. And that is the one thing I cannot forgive. His name was Tyler. He walked into my courtroom on a Tuesday morning wearing a United States Marine Corps dress, blue uniform. He had medals covering his chest, a Purple Heart, a Silver Star, a Navy Cross. He looked like a war hero. He thought the uniform would make me afraid of him. He thought I would salute him, thank him for his service, and tear up his ticket. But he didn't know that sitting in the very back row of my courtroom was a real Marine. A man who landed on Iwo Jima in 1945. And we were about to teach this young man a lesson he would never forget. Before I tell you how we trapped him, do me a favor. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from. I love seeing how far justice travels around the world, because today, justice is going to get personal. I remember the moment he walked in. The air in the courtroom changed. Usually, defendants are nervous. They look at their shoes. They wring their hands. They speak in whispers. Tyler? He strutted. He walked down the center aisle like he owned the building. He had a limp, a fake limp. I have seen enough real injuries in my life to know the difference between actual pain and a performance. He walked right up to the defense table, slammed his hand down, and barked out his name. Sergeant Tyler Vance, Special Forces, Sniper Division. I sat back in my chair and just looked at him. Sniper Division? I thought. That isn't even a real unit name. Real soldiers don't talk like that. They don't brag. They don't demand respect. They command it with their silence. I knew right then something was wrong. But I decided to let him talk. I wanted to see how far he would go. I opened his file. He was there for a reckless driving charge. The police report was ugly. It wasn't a simple speeding ticket. He was caught doing donuts in a Walmart parking lot at 2 a.m. in a lifted pickup truck. When the officer stopped him, he was aggressive. He was belligerent. But standing in front of me, he had a different story. Judge, he said, his voice shaking with fake emotion. I wasn't reckless. I had a PTSD episode. I heard a car backfire and I flashed back to the sandbox. I was driving to the VA hospital for help. You civilians don't get it. The stress, it messes with you. He demanded I dismiss the ticket immediately so he could go to a medal ceremony that afternoon. He said the president was going to be there. He pointed to his chest. He told me he earned the Purple Heart from an IED explosion that killed his whole platoon. He told me he earned the Silver Star for carrying 3 men out of a burning building on his back. It was an incredible story. It was a heartbreaking story. If it were true, he would be a national hero. But as I looked at his uniform, I noticed something. Something small, something most civilians would miss. His Silver Star was pinned above his Purple Heart. Now, to you or me, that might not mean much. But to a soldier, to a Marine, that is a violation of regulations. The order of precedence is sacred. You never, ever pin a Silver Star above a Purple Heart in that configuration. That was his first mistake. But I needed to be sure. I didn't want to accuse a veteran falsely. So I decided to test him. I kept my voice calm. I leaned forward. Sergeant, I said, that is a very impressive record. Tell me, where did you go to boot camp? He didn't hesitate. San Diego, he said. Camp Pendleton. I see, I said. And what was your Morse code? He froze. For the first time, the arrogance slipped. I saw the sweat start to form on his forehead. Every Marine, past or present, knows their military occupational specialty code. It is burned into their brain. It is like their own name. 0311, 0321. They never forget it. My what? He stammered. It's classified, Judge. Like I said, Special ops. We don't use codes. That is when I knew I had him. He was lying. He had never served a day in his life. But I didn't want to just catch him. I wanted to expose him. I wanted him to feel a fraction of the shame he was bringing upon the uniform. So I looked to the back of the courtroom. Sitting there in the last row was Mr. Kowalski. He is 85 years old. He walks with a cane. He wears a hat that says sympathy. He comes to court sometimes just to watch. I asked Mr. Kowalski to stand up. The old man stood up slowly. He looked at Tyler. His eyes were hard. He didn't see a sergeant. He saw a child playing dress-up. Mr. Kowalski cleared his throat and yelled across the room, "Take that cover off, boy!" Tyler jumped. "Excuse me," he said. "Your hat!" Kowalski roared. "You don't wear a cover indoors. That is day one stuff. Take it off." Tyler flinched. He took off the hat, his hand shaking. He looked terrified. He realized he wasn't dealing with a civilian judge anymore. He was dealing with the real thing. Then Mr. Kowalski walked up to the railing. He looked Tyler dead in the eye and asked him the one question every Marine knows. The question that separates the soldiers from the fakes. He asked, "What is the birthday of the Corps?" The courtroom went silent. You could hear a pin drop. Tyler looked around wildly. He looked at me. He looked at his lawyer. He stammered. He guessed. "July 4th?" he whispered. The whole room gasped. November 10th, 1775. Every Marine knows it. They celebrate it every year. It is the holiest day in their calendar. Tyler Vance wasn't a hero. He was a fraud who bought a costume at a Halloween store to get out of a $300 ticket. I reached into my file and pulled out a piece of paper my bailiff had handed me earlier. It was an investigation report. We had run his name. "Tyler," I said, "I have a receipt here from Spirit Halloween store dated yesterday. Soldier costume deluxe, $150. When I read that receipt out loud, Tyler started crying. The tough guy act vanished. He slumped over the table. "It was just a joke," he sobbed. "I just didn't want to pay the insurance hike. I thought if I looked like a hero, you would let me go." I looked at Mr. Kowalski. He was shaking his head in disgust. "Stolen valor is not a joke, son," I told him. "You didn't just try to trick me. You spit in the face of every man and woman who has died for that flag." I picked up my gavel. I found him guilty on all charges: reckless driving, perjury, fraud. I sentenced him to 30 days in jail, immediate custody, but I added a special condition. I told him, when you get out, you are not done. You are going to perform 200 hours of community service. "Where?" he asked, wiping his nose. "At the Veterans Cemetery," I said. "You are going to go there every weekend. You are going to clean the headstones. You're going to pull the weeds, and I want you to read the names. I want you to read the dates of birth and the dates of death of the men who actually earned the medals you bought at a party store. And you are going to write me an essay," I added, "on the meaning of the word honor." Inspector Quinn moved in to arrest him. But before he put the handcuffs on, Mr. Kowalski stepped forward. "Judge," the old Marine said, "may I?" I nodded. Mr. Kowalski reached out and ripped the fake medals off Tyler's chest. He put them in his pocket. "You didn't earn these," he said. Tyler was led away in handcuffs, crying. Not brave tears, coward tears. I looked at Mr. Kowalski. "Semper Fi, Mr. Kowalski," I said. He saluted me. "Semper Fi, Judge." You see, in this job, you learn that character is everything. Tyler walked in thinking a costume made him a hero. He left knowing that honor is something you earn, not something you buy. And that is why I love this job.